police told me stress can make people hear things. Maybe they're right, but stress doesn't leave fingerprints on your TV remote. I've always loved horror movies, not because they scared me, but because they never felt real. Monsters belonged on a screen. Ghosts belonged in stories. Real life was different. At least, that's what I believed until one Friday night. My parents had gone to visit my grandparents for the weekend. I stayed behind because I had work the next morning. By 11:30 p.m., the entire neighborhood was quiet. I locked every door, checked every window, turned off the lights, made popcorn, and started watching an old horror movie. The house was completely silent, except for the TV. About 20 minutes into the movie, there was a funny scene. The main character slipped while running from a ghost. I laughed, not loudly, just enough to break the silence. Then, I heard someone else laugh. It wasn't the actor. It wasn't from the movie. It came from somewhere inside my house. A second laugh. Soft, low, almost like someone was trying not to be heard. I muted the TV. Silence. Nothing. I waited almost a full minute. No footsteps. No voices. No movement. I convinced myself the sound had come from outside. I pressed play again. 10 minutes later, another joke happened in the movie. This time, I didn't laugh, but someone did. The exact same laugh. Behind me, not loud, not close, just close enough to make every hair on my neck stand up. I turned around immediately. The living room was empty. The hallway behind me was dark. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. Nothing. I searched the kitchen, the bathroom, every bedroom, every closet. Everything was exactly where I'd left it. No broken windows, no unlocked doors, no sign that anyone had entered the house. I even checked the security app connected to my front door camera. No motion detected, no alerts, no visitors. I was about to turn the TV off when something caught my eye. The bowl of popcorn I'd left on the coffee table had moved, only a few inches, but enough that I noticed. I stared at it, trying to remember if I'd pushed it earlier. Maybe I had, maybe I hadn't. Then I noticed something else. There were 3 handfuls of popcorn missing. I had only eaten 2. I slowly counted out loud. 1. My first handful. 2. My second. I looked at the bowl again. There was no mistake. Someone else had eaten from it. At that exact moment, the horror movie on the TV paused by itself. No warning, no error message, just paused. A few seconds later, white subtitles appeared on the screen. There was no dialogue, no characters, just one sentence. "You're not watching alone." I froze. My phone slipped from my hand. The flashlight rolled across the floor, stopping beneath the couch. That's when I heard it again. A quiet laugh. This time, from underneath me. I couldn't force myself to look under the couch. My body refused to move. The flashlight lay on the floor, its beam shining into the darkness beneath it. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the laughter stopped. Completely. The silence was somehow worse. I slowly reached for my phone. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it again. I switched on the flashlight, took a deep breath, and pointed it under the couch. Empty. There was nothing there. No person. No animal. Not even enough space for someone to hide. I let out a nervous laugh. "You're losing it," I whispered to myself, trying to calm down. I picked up the popcorn bowl. That's when I noticed something strange. Buried beneath the popcorn was a folded movie ticket. Old, faded. The date printed on it was October 18th, 1999. The theater listed on the ticket had been demolished years ago. I had never seen it before, and it definitely wasn't mine. I threw the ticket onto the table. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. There was no text, just a single photo. I opened it. It was a picture of my living room, taken from behind my couch, exactly where someone would have been standing, watching me. The timestamp read 11:42 p.m., only 1 minute earlier. My heart started pounding. I rushed behind the couch. Nothing. No hidden camera. No footprints. No open window. The curtains hadn't even moved. I immediately called my best friend, Ryan. He answered on the second ring. Before I could explain anything, he laughed. "Dude, I was just about to call you." I frowned. "Why?" Ryan went quiet. Then he asked, "Who was sitting next to you?" Every muscle in my body tightened. "What are you talking about?" "I drove past your house 10 minutes ago. I saw your TV through the window. I thought someone was watching the movie with you." I couldn't speak. There wasn't anyone here. Ryan's voice became serious. "I swear, there were 2 people on that couch." I slowly turned toward the television. The movie had resumed by itself. The scene on the screen showed a man sitting alone. Then, without warning, a second person slowly sat down beside him. The man didn't notice, but the camera did. The figure turned toward the screen and smiled. It had no face, only darkness. Then, it raised one finger and pointed directly at me. Ryan arrived less than 10 minutes later. The moment he stepped inside, he looked around the living room. "You weren't kidding." "What?" He pointed at the television. "The movie's different." I looked at the screen. The man in the movie was gone. Now, the camera was moving through a dark hallway. Every step felt familiar. Then it entered a living room. My living room. The same couch. The same TV. The same bowl of popcorn. The camera slowly turned toward the couch. Ryan and I were sitting exactly where we were now, watching the movie. Neither of us spoke. Neither of us moved. We were watching ourselves. Watching ourselves. Ryan grabbed the remote. He pressed the power button. Nothing. He pulled the plug from the wall. The TV stayed on. The screen flickered. Then, the version of me inside the movie slowly turned his head and looked directly at us. Not at the camera. At us. He whispered, "Don't let him laugh." Before I could ask what he meant, I heard it again. That same laugh. Closer this time. It wasn't behind us. It wasn't upstairs. It came from the television. The lights began to flicker. Ryan backed toward the front door. "I'm leaving." He reached for the doorknob, but the door wouldn't open. He pulled harder. Locked. I ran to the kitchen. The back door wouldn't open either. Every window was sealed shut. It was as if the house had decided we weren't allowed to leave. When we returned to the living room, the TV screen was black. For a moment, everything was silent. Then white letters slowly appeared. "Third viewer connected." Ryan looked at me. "What does that mean?" Before I could answer, a third shadow appeared on the couch. Between us, we couldn't see it with our eyes. Only on the TV. The shadow slowly leaned forward and laughed. The exact same laugh we'd been hearing all night. Ryan screamed and threw the remote at the screen. The TV shattered. The room went completely dark. When the lights came back on, everything was normal. The TV was broken. The doors opened. The house was silent. Ryan grabbed my arm. "We're leaving." Neither of us ever went back. The next morning, I searched online for the movie. Nothing. No title. No trailer. No reviews. It was as if it had never existed. 3 weeks later, I visited Ryan to return something he'd left at my house. He wasn't home. His mother answered the door. I smiled. "Is Ryan here?" She looked confused. "I'm sorry. I think you have the wrong house." I laughed awkwardly. "No, Ryan. We've been best friends since high school." Her face turned pale. "My son died 6 years ago." My heart stopped. I pulled out my phone. Every photo of Ryan was gone. Every text message, gone. His contact, gone. It was as if he had never existed. Then my phone vibrated. One new notification. No sender. Just 5 words. "Now you're the third person."